Welcome to the ITUtility.NET Control Panel walkthrough. This video will provide an introduction to the control panel and how to set up clients. The first step is navigating to the URL welcome.itutility.net. For this step, we recommend using the Chrome browser. This page provides access to the admin panel, the control panel, and the partner login. As previously mentioned, this video will focus on the control panel. The control panel login is in the center of the page. Click the login button beside the Exchange 2010 label. This is also where you would create users for SharePoint. Here you will log in with the admin credentials that were given to you in your initial reseller summary email. When we first log in, you will see a list of client accounts that have been populated for purposes of this demonstration. The first time that you log into your own account, you will only see your company's admin account listed. You will notice two blue buttons at the top, Add Reseller Admin and Add Customer. Add Customer is where you add any new client account, and Add Reseller Admin is where you would create an account for your own technical employees. Adding a reseller admin is fairly straightforward. Click on the button and populate all of the appropriate fields. User principal name is the username that will be required to log in. Passwords must match the password complexity requirements, found under the Change Password tab back at the login screen. Passwords cannot contain user or domain names. They must be a minimum of 7 characters long. They cannot be the password previously used, and they must contain one uppercase, one lowercase, a number, and a special character. Make sure you set the user type to admin SKU01. Additional fields are only viewable by admin accounts. Go ahead and add details for your own reference if you wish. When you are finished, click the Submit button. You will then be directed back to the home page where you will see the reseller admin account you just created inside the list. Now we can review the Add Customer button, where you will create entries for your clients. Begin by clicking the button and populating all appropriate fields. Make sure to select var cus under the customer type. Again, the additional fields are only viewable by admin accounts. Go ahead and add some details for your own reference. When you have completed the entries, click the Submit button to create the profile. Again, you will be directed back to the home screen, the main list of client accounts. You'll notice that the client you just created is now in the list. This customer you have just created acts like a container where you will provision all additional information and users for that particular client. When you click on the customer that you just created, it will take you inside of that container. Notice the ribbon at the top of the page. It will show you where you are inside the portal. Inside this container, there are 3 options: the Customer tab, the Products tab, and the Reports tab. The Customer tab is where you will add the user accounts belonging to your client. Before we begin creating customer users for Exchange, we need to open the Product tab and initiate Exchange. For SharePoint or CRM, you can begin creating user accounts right away. If you are creating Exchange accounts, start by opening the Product tab. On the left, you'll see links for Product Summary, Business Plan, Hosted Exchange, SMTP domains, and distribution lists. Start by clicking on Hosted Exchange. This is where you add in your client domain in the field beside SMPT domain. For example, yourclientsdomain.com. Select the appropriate SKUs for that client. If you require more details on the SKUs that are available, you can review the product price list or contact sales. Once you have completed the entries, click the Submit button. Your browser may take a minute to process this request. You will know that the process has been completed when the warning that says "This organization is not enabled for Exchange" is replaced by a solid black line. Now that you have enabled Exchange, you are able to enter any additional SMTPs that may be required under the SMTP domains link. Please keep a list of these entries and forward it to support@ITUtility.NET so that they can be added to the enhanced anti-spam system. Before we can review the distribution lists, we need to create users. Users can now be created because we have enabled Exchange. Let's go back to the Customer tab and create a user account. Begin by adding a user. You'll need to populate the appropriate fields. This is where you create the email accounts for each user. Passwords must match the complexity regulations. Feel free to use the suggested password. Make sure to check the Exchange Settings checkbox to enable the mailbox for this user. The user's primary email address is entered beside user principal name. This is what the user will log in with. Typically, it will match your primary SMTP. Set the email SKU package for that user from the drop-down menu. The information you enter for display name, first name, and last name is what you will be able to search for in the GAL. It will also populate the additional fields on the contact card in the address book. You are able to modify these user entries later on by clicking the Edit button on the right-hand side of the user list. You're able to select a user by clicking directly on the name. This will take you inside the user account where you can access additional properties. You can change passwords if the user forgets. You can modify Exchange settings or set a different primary address. You can enable, disable, or unlock user accounts. You can also upgrade the mail plan for more storage. If you don't find your preferred option available, you can enable more SKU options back in the Products tab. Users can attempt to log in 12 times before getting locked out. Accounts will stay locked for 30 minutes unless you go into this tab and unlock it manually. Now we can move on to the Add Customer Admin and Add Mail Contact. Add Customer Admin accounts are created for your client if they happen to have their own IT staff. This allows your client to create their own accounts, change passwords, create distribution lists, and mail contacts. It allows basic administrative functions that are isolated to that particular client. Customer admins will only see information regarding the client they are created under. This account does not have a mailbox and is only used to access the control panel. There may be additional fees associated with this type of customer admin account. Please check with IT Utility. Mail contacts are created under the Mail Contact button. These are entries in your address book that are not mailboxes within your system. Mail Contact allows you to create contact cards in the GAL for external email addresses. Now that you have created some user accounts, you are able to create a distribution list. Distribution lists are created back in the Products tab by clicking on the Add Distribution List button. Assign a name for the list, set a manager by user account, and if you'd like to modify the Reply To address, you can click the optional box. This allows you to accept emails from external mail servers. These lists are modifiable through the control panel or through the Outlook account of the list manager. The Reports tab is where you can generate a list of all customers and users. Additional functionalities are currently in development for future release. The last component to review is removal of client accounts. This is done from the Reseller tab. The Reseller tab is found back on the home page. Select the organization by clicking on the name. Inside the Products tab, you need to delete any distribution lists. Next, you would go back to the Customer tab where you would delete users, customer admins, or mail contacts. In the Products tab, delete all SMTP domains, and in the Business Plan tab, click Remove Plan. Finally, you will navigate back to the Reseller Home tab, where you will be able to click Delete on the right-hand side. This concludes the introductory walkthrough to the control panel and Exchange setup. Any questions can be directed to support@ITUtility.NET.